PrymalChaos. Hey guys, PrymalChaos here, welcome to the channel. So this one was gifted to me by Radicatcher over on my Discord, who suggested that I check this out. It's, as far as I can tell, I'm assuming it's a cover of Hurt by 9 Inch Nails, which is, you know, obviously it was a great song when it came out, but it was also popularized by the cover version performed by Johnny Cash in the later stages of his life. And so it's already fraught with deep-seated emotion, right? Because at the time of recording, Johnny Cash knew that his days were numbered, and it added so much elevation to the meaning of the song and all that. And famously, and I only heard this anecdotally, it may or may not be true, I remember hearing that Trent Reznor has mentioned that after seeing Johnny Cash's performance, he feels as though the song no longer belongs to him and that it's now Johnny Cash's song, which is really high praise. Now, as far as Lolli Wren, who's done this cover, boy, I hope it is the same song. Otherwise, this whole intro is getting deleted. As a rule, I tend to not check out other reactors' channels. And that's mostly just so that, you know, it doesn't color my opinions on things. And, you know, because there's nothing I think that reaction fans hate more than seeing the same wording and the same reactions over and over and over. Sometimes if people twig on certain things, it sort of sets a precedent of like, oh, okay, this must be true because I heard it on this channel and this channel and this channel. But I like to try and keep my reactions authentic and original as possible. I've seen a little bit of the Fairy Voice Mother and a couple of others. So I'm not super familiar with the Fairy Voice Mother. I do know that she's hugely popular on this channel, far more popular than I am. And in many ways, this is the crossover that maybe 6 people out there have been waiting for. Let me know in the comments, has she done a lot of this, releasing under her own name and stuff like that? Or does she have a career spanning back further than her channel maybe? I really don't know, but this is fairly recent. So this video today is brought to you by Enchroma. Enchroma make glasses for colorblind people like myself. If you or anyone you know is colorblind, feel free to click the link in my comments. It'll take you to their website where you can get a free eye test and find out if you have a deficiency, if so, what kind, and while you're there, maybe you can pick up a pair of glasses that'll help you see the world a little bit more like everyone else. I'm a big fan of them. I use mine every day as my daily sunglasses, and I really enjoy the little flourishes of color that occasionally pop out that I'm not used to seeing. So I'm going to dive right in. Here we go. Lolli Wren, Hurt. The song just has such beautiful chords, right?
I hurt myself.
Oh, I like where she's placed that.
To see if I still feel. I focused on the pain. The only thing that's real. The needle tears a hole. The old familiar sting. Try to kill it all away. But I remember everything.
Oh, I like the eye contact just there. Okay, so while we're preparing to move into the next verse, a few things that are of note. One thing I really like, and I mean, I would expect nothing less from someone who is the Fairy Voice Mother and considers herself to be a vocal anatomy nerd and stuff like that. But where she's placed that lower register, because obviously when you do a cover, you can choose what key you're going to sing it in. And the idea obviously is to make it fit your voice as best it can. In this case, the song starts fairly low. Listening to it, I kind of imagine she has more of a higher voice, maybe a soprano. I don't think maybe a mezzo. I think probably a soprano. But the way that she's handling these lower register notes, especially in a way that where it's kind of breathy, like a lot of the notes sort of dissolve into just breathiness. She's singing it beautifully, you know, because I can hear that that's placed low for her. And I think that the song's going to get higher as we go along. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not familiar with her singing voice, but if you listen to it here, you can hear that she's, it seems like it's low for her, you know, but it's beautiful. She's got a beautiful timbre down there. The other thing I wanted to mention real quick before we get back here, I might start the song again, but is I love that she has her own natural character in some of the enunciation, the way that she pronounces words, because it's real easy for a vocal coach or a classically trained singer to lose a lot of that character. It's the kind of thing that in pop music circles, it's probably discouraged in classical to a degree, I'd imagine. I can't imagine that when you hire an opera singer, you want them to have their voice to be affected or colored in any specific way. You just want them to be a soprano or a mezzo or a baritone or whatever it might be that sounds like others that sing it. But, obviously the best singers in that field are going to be the ones that have the cleanest pitch and the most effortless sounding voices and things like that. But you don't necessarily want there to be a lot of character in their voice, because that changes everything. Character in the voice is much more of a thing to do with like contemporary music. You hear it mostly in pop songs and stuff on the radio. It's the thing that either you fall in love with or it drives you crazy. You can't handle that person's voice because they always have a weird inflection in the way they pronounce words, or and there tends to be a lot of trends with those whereby it's like, oh God, it's another one of these singers who does that voice, or you're a big fan of it. It really depends. But as a singing coach, it's interesting to me that she has that personal inflection, which to me tells me that as a singing teacher, she's probably great at taking a person's voice and working with the dynamics and the pitch and all of the things, stamina, all of those things that you need to have a great voice, but without taking away your personal character. Yeah, I really like that. So I'm going to just jump straight back to the start. Let's go from the start and see if we can get through. But I'll point out what I'm talking about as far as those idiosyncratic sort of things.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focused on the pain, the only thing that's real. The needle tears a hole.
Tears.
The old familiar sting. Try to kill it all away, but I remember everything. What have I become?
Wow, so haunting, right? Wow.
My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end.
Oh, I like that choice.
You could have it all. My empire of dirt. For me to let you down. Oh, I will make you hurt. I wear my crown of shame upon my liar's chain, full of broken thoughts that I just can't repair. Beneath the stains of time, the feelings disappear.
Oh, the harmonies. Wow.
You are someone else, but I am still right here.
That was so good. Oh my god. I honestly, I had no idea what to expect. And, you know, 9 times out of 10 when you go into a cover, particularly one that's been done so many times by so many amazing artists, there's a little bit of a feeling like that. What are they gonna bring to the table that hasn't already been said? You know, doing covers is like one of those things where you, it's really easy to criticize. You know, people just want to do songs because they want to do songs, but there's this kind of impression that don't do it unless you're going to do it better than the original. And so when you go into something like this and you think, what possibly could they add to this? And um, this was definitely worth doing. This was so beautiful. First of all, I didn't want to stop it because I just wanted to get the flavor of everything, you know, coming through, like the second and third acts of the song, I suppose. And I'm just trying to compile my thoughts. So, obviously, what makes her so beautifully suited to this song is there's a tenderness and just a beautiful fragility to her, particularly with her. She's got that vibrato that's really unique, right? And it's got this sort of fluttery kind of thing. It's almost like butterflies in your stomach, sort of thing. And when you transpose that over the narrative of the music video, which is obviously a situation of domestic violence, and obviously that's culminated in some sort of a criminal activity. I'm just going to throw it out there and say that I assume that maybe she sought revenge or something, and now she's being, you know, that journey is coming to its ultimate conclusion, right? She's getting pulled out of the car by the police and things like that. And it's one of those weird things where you go, well, I mean, who could blame her? And at the same time, you know, this probably wasn't the best outcome for her at all, you know. But all of that is said without words in the music video. The song doesn't really relate to that imagery, but when you put them together, you stitch together this narrative in your mind that's so emotional and emotionally driven, and you become really empathetic to the situation. And I love that the music production was absolutely stunning. It's so beautifully nuanced. It's simple, but so effective. And there's so many little affectations floating around in the sonic space, like the stereo image, with the backing vocals coming in that almost sound like sirens from a distance, right? And then you've got like, not police sirens, sirens on a rock causing ships to crash. But also like, you know, there's a little weird sort of sampley bird sound or something at the end that was sort of floating around the stereo image and stuff. And it's all stuff that just makes it sound really atmospheric. It almost seems cinematic. Like you could suggest that that was the entire music video is a final act piece from a film that they've taken with the soundtrack complete, you know, because that's what it feels like. It feels like a little piece of cinema. And that's absolutely brilliant. You know, I think that sometimes people think of a music video as just something you do to promote the song, but there's been so many songs historically that I haven't really got a vibe for until I saw the music video, and then I understood what the artist was trying to say. And then all of a sudden I was like, I get this on a fundamental level. I really enjoy it now, you know, and this would be probably one of those cases. I'm glad that I saw the music video in conjunction with the song, because the song may very well have just passed me by, but seeing it, like the whole artistic vision of it all, makes a lot of sense. And I really appreciate that. Lolli's voice is beautiful. It's beautifully suited for this. I'd love to hear some more of her stuff and see what else she does. If she mostly does this kind of ambient, moody stuff, or if she does other things. But yeah, like I said, the character in her voice is quite interesting because she has those little affectations in her pronunciation and things like that. And obviously that vibrato is very unique as well. And these are both things that haven't been programmed out of her by classical singing, so to speak. And I don't want to sound like I'm coming down on classical vocalists. They're some of the greatest singers in the world. And, you know, bel canto and all of those traditional sort of vocal techniques and schools, they're the fundamentals of great singing, right? They figured it out hundreds of years ago. And it's been, I mean, when you look at an opera singer and they can entertain an entire auditorium full of people without a microphone, there's something to be said for that, right? They have incredible production dynamics, obviously pitch, all of those things, articulation, you know, of notes and things like that. And so I have nothing but absolute respect for everybody who's classically trained, and I think it's also a really good place to begin. But I do also think that sometimes, you know, sometimes we need classical, sometimes we need artists, right? Who are creating something unique and visionary. And I think that sometimes fundamentals can get in the way. Now, I'm not one of these guys. I'm a guitar player, and you know, first and foremost, and I feel like there's this idea that if you learn music theory, then it takes away some of the passion from what you can create. And I think that that's absolute nonsense. There are absolutely incredible musicians out there who don't even know the names of the chords they're playing. That's absolutely true. But by the same token, learning the fundamentals correctly can take your vision further, you know. But again, there's things like, you know, this is really anecdotal, but Jimi Hendrix used to play chords on his guitar where he would play, say, that, and he would play this second fret E string with his thumb, which if you go and learn classical guitar, that would never really be a thing. The position of your thumb on the back of the neck is core technique for classical and flamenco, right? And it does give you access to the neck in a much more efficient way than gripping the guitar like a baseball bat. But you can't deny that the stuff Jimi Hendrix was doing with his personal self-taught techniques, or the techniques that he garnered from the people around him, you can't deny that there's magic there, right? And I think this is a really long roundabout way of saying there's a place for both classical foundational work and also artistic nuance. And sometimes those two things can cross paths, and sometimes they can be completely separate. And I think in this case, it's, to me, the reason I'm talking about this, is really interesting to me that Lolli, who's a vocal coach, has access to a very unique and artistic sound. That's the summary of that last few minutes of waffling. And I really appreciate that about her. I think it's great. I'd love to hear, like I said, I'd love to hear more of her music to see where else she takes it. But there's in the popular music scene, it can't be understated that it's important that as soon as a vocalist starts singing on a track, you know exactly who they are. And that's one of those things where having those little affectations and those little idiosyncratic specific things about your voice is vitally important, you know, because now after hearing this, I could hear blindfolded a couple more tracks and I'd know immediately which one was Lolli, right? And that's really impressive. What else do I want to talk about? I think I've covered most of it. I think, you know, I did get a little bit teary, which anyone who follows my channel knows that I'll cry at the drop of a hat. Ever since I turned 40, it's just all over for me. I'm emotional. I'm an emotional train wreck. But I think it was deserving of that. Like, more people need to see this, I think. I think this will be a personal favorite for a lot of people if it just gets enough eyeballs on it. And yeah, thank you, Lolli. Hit me up if you want to collaborate or do something. This was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this. If you feel like I've brightened your day at all, feel free to support my channel just by buying me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. Or, you know, just like, share, follow, subscribe. If this seems like something that your community would appreciate, feel free to share it. I'd really appreciate that. Thanks again, guys. Stay primal. I'll catch you on the next one.